When we decide to step away from the holidays, it's important that we keep beauty and pleasant things, especially lights in this dark time of the year in our lives. You've probably heard that nature hates a vacuum, and it's true. We need something to fill in that space. So today I'm going to talk with you a little bit about some decoration ideas in your home, so for home decor, that you can use to brighten up your space and make December a more pleasant time for yourself, especially if you're needing to avoid the craziness of the holidays. So I just have a few little tips and ideas and a few little props here with me. My very first prop is actually my top. This top features winter birds. And so I know that we have, in some ways, some association of winter birds, especially cardinals and chickadees, with some of the Christmas and holiday season. And that's mostly because they do stick around in cold weather climates. And so we see them in the snow, and we might associate them with winter solstice or that sort of thing. So culturally, there might be a connection there. But the truth is, they really don't have anything to do with Christmas per se, and so they're not like you know, like a Christmas tree or a manger scene or carols, in that, you know, they're not just inextricably wound up into this present giving jingle bell season. And so I want to kind of talk about those, and also the snowflakes that you saw at the beginning, and we'll be revisiting snowflakes again later this week. And just talk about how we can integrate those and sort of reframe some of these things for our own holiday fun. Okay, so this top is very special to me. It was given to me by my wife's aunt, who does a lot of embroidery, and she embroidered these for us the first year. I believe it was the first year we were married. And so we received them as gifts, and then I've been able to wear them every winter since. And she has a yellow one that has the same winter birds on them. And so winter birds are something that we can really use to decorate our homes. And it's seasonal, it's appropriate. In a way, having some birds around the place, they don't have to be real birds, I don't recommend bringing real wild birds into your home, can sort of brighten things for us as those days grow shorter and we're, you know, in this darker space. It's nice to have something that's pleasantly colored, even if not brightly colored, and something that sort of cheers us up. So if we're talking about things that are brighter, let's talk a little bit more about the opening segment where I showed you it's actually a centerpiece, okay, that I created. And I created it with some fairy lights, and I'll just kind of pull the pieces up so you can see them. So I got these little fairy lights, and they're battery operated. So you can get a variety of fairy lights fairly inexpensively. I picked these up at the dollar store. Now they're actually they're actually fairly high-end version, and they can dance to music and all sorts of things. I hid the battery pack under some repurposed packing material. And then I added some just paper snowflakes, and I've actually added a few little squigglies to my snowflakes, which you can do if you like. You could do all sorts of things to make a non-holiday centerpiece or a little decoration for an end table or that sort of thing using this same type of thing. Fairy lights are really easy to get. You can buy them just about anywhere that you buy lights, and bringing lights into our home as the world gets darker, and then as the light starts to come back after the solstice, but we still have a very dark, cold time of year to navigate. And so that's actually part of the reason there's a lot of tradition of lights. So if you want to break away from those traditions and get away from sort of the holiday madness, definitely do that. But make sure you're incorporating light. And I'm going to actually talk about that in other videos as well. So I find that fairy lights are fantastic for me because they don't have sort of that holiday baggage to them. If you're not triggered by the white or cream colored twinkle lights, those are great. And actually, the other collaborator in Share, Penny Higgins, she decorates her entire home with twinkle lights all the time, and she has set up an office space that totally to me looks like a spaceship using twinkle lights. So you don't have to go Christmassy or Hanukkah-y or all jingle bells and fancy to bring some of that extra light into your life and into your home. Another thing we need as we navigate through the month of December is some cozy warmth. Okay, so this is the perfect time for throws. Now, I personally, you'll see that most of the things that I'm showing you have a lot of white and lighter colors. And I personally like that in the wintertime. And I'm also advising you to use white, to use lights and white lights, cream colored lights, warm lights. That's because, you know, outdoors is really dark, and that can be a little triggering to us, especially if you're in an area that gets really cold in the winter, and either because it's just not a place that gets snow, or because of climate change, you're not getting snow. See, the snow kind of helps brighten up a really dark winter. But without that snow reflecting the starlight, things get much, much darker. And in areas that have been affected by the climate change and have gotten less snow as a result, there are more people dealing with a lot more depression. So we want to keep things light and bright, even if you're not doing the frenetic jingle bell thing, okay? And so that's why I have sort of a white and cream colored and pink and brown snuggly blanket. And this is a throw. It's gorgeous. I actually use it in my office space. And I actually have kind of a daybed situation in my office space, so I can sit there and cuddle while I do my art and that sort of thing. But it looks great, just sort of thrown up across somewhere. And you know, it doesn't have to be a fancy new throw. If you have some family heirlooms, like, let's say, quilts that someone in your family made, or Afghans that were handmade and lovingly made by a family member, now is a great time to get those out and to use those. And it's seasonal, because just because we're in a holiday-free safe zone here, that doesn't mean we're liberated from the seasons of the earth, okay? Because we're human, so we're going through the fall and winter time right now. We're in the lead up toward our winter, and we're entering the coldest time of year, so we need some ways to kind of manage that. right now, and then we're gonna have to manage it after the holidays are over too. So the lovely thing is you're gonna be ahead of all your friends who did the whole Christmas thing once it comes to January, because you won't be culturally obliged to pull down all your decorations and be left with sort of a stale, empty home. So I just want to also show you, we talked about the birds earlier, but I want to show you just a couple of paintings that I have. Now, these are MG Isms paintings, and at the time of this recording, they are still available. So if you're wanting prints or the original, feel free to reach out to me. My name's Marie Gail MG Stratford, and all of the information for contacting either myself or Penny is always in the show notes. But I just have really enjoyed over the last few years putting together in the wintertime some paintings of birds in the winter. So we don't really think of the eastern bluebird as being a snowbird, but this was just kind of a fun wintry painting that I did, and that is the type of thing. And I want you to understand, yes, I'd love it if someone saw this and wanted it, and contact me if you do. But I also want you to understand that this is just kind of an example of something you might go out and find. So you might find it from me, you might find it somewhere else. Okay, so there's this. And then here's another one, and this does have the red and green, but it's really, if you look at the elements of the painting here, this is a titmouse, and there are all sorts of, you know, just pleasant, hearty plant matter in the background and foreground there with the titmouse. And you know, you can do that. I picked those two specifically because those two birds don't tend to show up on Christmas prints, so you're not usually dealing with some like holiday messaging with something like that. But, you know, you might be able to find cardinals or blue jays like on my shirt, or chickadees. And those are just like, they're feathery things, and you know, reminds me of Emily Dickinson's poem "Hope is the Thing with Feathers." And right now this whole series really is to help people find some hope. So I hope you've gotten some ideas for ways to sort of fill up your space with seasonally appropriate, comforting visuals, things that you can touch. Also, later on, we'll talk about things you can smell and taste. Things that will replace those triggering holiday things, but without us kind of going into an area where we're trying to create a vacuum, which really is impossible. So I hope you're having a really lovely December so far, and we're going to keep in touch throughout the time. Stay tuned. Tomorrow I'll be chatting a little bit more about the snowflakes and doing a little craft.